Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Nikhil Kumar. In this video, I will show you how to create an Ansible role from scratch. We will use a practical example of setting up HAProxy and web server, and I will explain the best practices to keep your Ansible projects clean and organized. I will be building on the use case from my previous video where we set up these servers, but this time we will convert it into a role to make it reusable and easier to manage. Before we jump into the demo, let's quickly talk about what Ansible roles are. Ansible roles allows us to organize our playbooks into smaller, reusable components instead of having everything in one playbook. Roles helps us structure things in more modular way. The best part about role is their reusability. Once you created a role, you can reuse it across multiple playbooks and environments, saving you a lot of time and efforts. Roles simplify the structure of your automation. They allows us to efficiently organize tasks, handlers, and variables, which make the playbooks more and much cleaner. Finally, roles are perfect for managing complex applications, especially a multi-tier ones. For example, roles make it easier to manage setup involving web servers, databases, and load balancer. Roles come with a lot of benefits. Roles make your automation reusable. We can apply them across different environments effortlessly, which is a huge time saver. By using roles, you simplify your playbooks. They become cleaner and more readable, which makes managing and troubleshooting easier. Roles also make collaboration easier. Since they are modular and organized, team can share and work together seamlessly. Before we dive into the demo, if you haven't seen my previous video about Ansible Inventory, where I set up HAProxy and web server using Ansible, be sure to check it out. In this video, I will be using the same use case but leveraging Ansible roles to make it cleaner and reusable. You can find the link to the previous video in the description. Let's now explore how to create these roles. This will help you understand how to modularize your setup and reuse it across different environments. So here I have a similar kind of instances which I used in my previous demo. In this I am having a one Ansible server, one load balancer server, and two will be the managed node, that is a web server. Basically all three will be the managed node, one will be the load balancer, and another two will be the web servers. So on the Ansible server, all the things are already configured with the Ansible is already there. I have used this particular playbook in my previous demo, that is to configure load balancer on the LB nodes group or the configure of the web server on the web server groups, and these are the template file which I used in my previous demo. Similarly, I will be using the same set of tasks but in a modularized way using the roles. Before we start, I will be using the Ansible Galaxy init command to create a new role. This command automatically generates a directory structure for the role, ensuring everything is neatly organized. Let me quickly walk you through this structure. First of all, let me create one directory called Ansible Roles, and we should place all the roles under one directory called roles in your current project or current working directory. Right now my project directory is Ansible Roles. So inside that I will be creating another directory called roles, and over there I will be placing my all the roles. So I'm inside the roles and we need to place all the roles inside this. And to create a directory structure of the role, we have a command called Ansible Galaxy init and the role name, that is HAProxy. So directory structure got created. If you see HAProxy directory got created with, if you see the structure of this particular directory, we can find out that this will be having a different set of directory and the files under it. So this is the directory structure of the role which is being created by the Ansible Galaxy command. And if you see defaults, under this we have a file called main.yaml. It contains a default variable for your role. Another is files. Files is having or storing the static files like configuration file will be going here. Handlers is having the Ansible handlers for your role. So if we having some configuration file and if we modify that file, after that we need to restart the service to apply those changes. So those restarting of the service task will becomes under this. So whenever the file or that particular task got changed of the configuration, that particular task will notify the handler task to restart the service Another is having the task are the main list of tasks. And then we will be having a templates are for the configuration file, which can be customized using the variables. So that will be a customized or dynamic variable configuration file, which we have used in the last demo. I will be using the similar file here, so I will show you how it can be used with the Ansible roles. Now, last but not the least, that is a meta. Meta is having the meta information, including dependency and all the information about over there. And the wheres is having the role specific variables. We need to place it into the wheres folder. So this structure is very crucial for keeping your role clean and modular. Now let's start creating the role for HAProxy and web server. So we have already have a HAProxy one. Now I'm going to create another role for web servers. So I am having both the roles ready. So let's go into the HAProxy directory. Underneath we have a multiple files, just like I explained just now. So we need to go inside the tasks, and inside task we have one file called main.yml, and under that file we need to place all the tasks. So HAProxy is having this list of tasks. In the task folder or task file, we don't need to specify the task directory or the task keyword, because task directory is already mentioned over there. So that means all the tasks will be placed here. So we just need to copy paste this particular information, that is the task name or task description, and we need to update it here, and it should be indented properly so that Ansible can read it. So we have placed all the tasks here in the task file. Now we need to create a one file under the template, because in our configuration file we are using the Jinja 2 format. So that particular thing will be placed under the templates folder. So we need to go inside the templates, and we need to copy this particular file, that is a HAProxy cfg.j2. I explained this thing earlier in my previous video, so you can watch that particular thing, that how I created this particular configuration file and use it with the templates. So I'm just copying the content here and pasting here. And one more thing, I am updating the value of the load balancer port. So I am keeping it as a variable here, because I am going to show you the another concept of Ansible, that is variable precedence. Because we are having a different set of variables, so every set of variable or variable location having a different precedence in the Ansible. So I will show you how it will work in the action. And at the last, you can see we are reading the groups wheres, which I explained in my previous video. I would recommend to watch it out to understand how I created this block of code and how it's working. So it's done. Another thing is that we have created one file called under the task. Let's go back, task main.yml. So 1 minute, it's a file. So we are updating this configuration file. So first time it will start the service, but the next time if we modify something in this particular file, it will not restart the service, because this service is already started, so it will not restart that service again. So for that we can use the handlers here, and we can use the notify keyword here, notify, and it will notify the task, that is restart HAProxy. So it will restart the HAProxy task, which is resides under the handlers, which I'm going to create just now. So we just need to go inside the handlers. Under the handlers, we have one file called main.yml, that is a handler file for HAProxy. We just need to create one task here, that restart HAProxy. So this task name which I gave in the notifier section, I need to use the same name here. Then only it will call this particular handler task. Under this we have a module called ansible.builtin.service, and we are going to restart the service basically, that is HAProxy. State is restarted. So the next time whenever that configuration file got changed, it will call the handler, that is this task, to restart the service. So we don't need to modify or restart the service manually each and every time when we are modifying the port number or some kind of configuration. So our HAProxy code is ready. Another is that we need to update the web servers. So the web servers, again, we need to go inside the task folder, and we have a file called main.yml, and I will be using the same set of tasks which I used earlier. It's a similar thing which I did for the HAProxy, copy paste, and I need to create a template file for this one as well, that is a index.html.j2. It should come under the templates folder. And we need to copy this content for the web server, so it will dynamically put the IP address of that particular node. So that is ready. Now both the roles are ready, which will be having the task and the templates information. And another thing is that whenever we need to call these particular roles, we need to create one playbook which is calling those roles. So how to create that particular playbook? For that, we are going to create one playbook called deploy HAProxy web servers .yml. I'm going to run the load balancer HAProxy role on the host called LB. And for importing a role or calling the role, we have multiple keywords. In this particular demo, I'm going to use the roles keyword. And under that, I am going to give a name of that particular task, that is a role. Like I'm going to call the deploy HAProxy, and the keyword is role. And I just need to give a path of that particular role. My role is already placed under the roles directory. We just need to give a role name. That's all. Similarly, I am going to write a similar task here, but to call the web server role on the web servers group. Web servers is the role name, and here as well deploy web servers. That's all. And now our playbook is also ready, but we need to create a inventory file. For the inventory file, we need to get the information about the host. First, I need to get the information about the load balancer node, that is this one, and this is the IP address. And then we need to get the information about the web servers, and these are the nodes of the web server. These are the IP address 58 and 31. So these two are updated also. Let's check the syntax of our playbook first. That is deploy HAProxy web servers.yml with the hyphen syntax check. Syntax is perfectly fine. We just need to call this particular playbook. Another thing is that we have created a one variable in the template file, that is the LB port under the HAProxy. So for that, we need to update the information into the defaults, because default is having the default variable of the role. So we need to go inside the roles, HAProxy defaults main.yml, and need to create that particular variable, that is LB underscore port and the port number 81 for now. That's all. And I'm going to run this playbook against the inventory -n inventory file name, and removing the syntax check to perform the action. Enter. It's installing the HAProxy package by calling the HAProxy role. It's updating the configuration file. It restarted the service, and now it's configuring the web server on both the nodes. And if you notice, because it got changed, the configuration file got changed, it called the running handler. That means it restarted the service also. So whenever this file got changed, it will call this particular task. I will show you how it will work in the action. First, let's try to see like is it working fine or not. Let's try to connect with the web server that is running on port number 81, which we have configured into the defaults. So it's working fine. It's showing the 58. If I refresh it, it's showing 31, again 58. And if I run the same playbook again, it will not call the handler task because we are not updating the configuration file again. If you notice, the handler file, handler task didn't run because this particular file didn't change. And there is another interesting concept in the Ansible, that is a variable precedence. Means variable can be overwritten by putting into the specific directory or specific playbook or some specific method. So I'm going to order the lowest to highest precedence of the variable here. So lowest is having the defaults. Default is having the lowest precedence of the variable. Then we will be having a vars, which is defined under the vars main.yml under the role itself. So that is having the higher precedence than the defaults. Another is having the inventory variables. Inventory variables is the one which we are defining into the inventory. Fourth is our playbook variable. We can directly define some variables in the playbook. The example and demo I have showed in my previous video. You can check it out in the Ansible playbook and variable video. You can find out how to create a playbook variable. And the highest precedence is given to the extra variables which we are passing via CLI command. So we can pass that particular variable, extra variable, via CLI command, and we can override that variable which is coming in the defaults or any of those that is having the highest precedence in the Ansible. So I'm going to use the extra variable here. So what I'm going to do, I am going to run the same playbook, and to define the extra variable we have a keyword or option called -e and the variable name, that is lb port, and equal to 80. That means we are going to change the port number of load balancer from 81 to 80, and defaults is already there. If we check that in defaults, we have already 81 is written. So let's check it out. So port number 81 is already there. I am just overriding it with the variable precedence concept and passing it via extra variables. Now I am hitting enter. Just it's running the configuration got updated, and if you notice, if the configuration file got changed, it's calling the handler to restart the service. That means it's notifying this particular handler to configure or restart the service. It's done. Let's go back to our web browser, and if we see, port number 81 stopped working because we have changed the port number to 80. If we change it to the port number 80, and it started working because we have updated to the port number 80. This makes our role adaptable, allowing you to reuse the same role across different environments by simply overriding variables at higher precedence level, just like I did by passing it via extra variable. So that's it for today. We have successfully created 2 roles to configure the web server and load balancer. Thank you for watching. In the next video, I will cover how to upload these roles to Ansible Galaxy and use them from there. And I will upload this particular code into my GitHub repository. I will attach the link into the description. Don't forget to check out my blog post on the Ansible role. I have added the link in the description. And feel free to like, subscribe, and comment if you found this helpful. And you have a nice day.